Hey there everybody, my name is Jess, and welcome to another game review. I just finished Final Fantasy VII last week, and I have been so excited to talk about it and to rate this game, but before I jump into it, let me just quickly review my rating scale for anybody that has not seen a game review by me before. Each game will be rated in 7 different categories: gameplay, characters, replay value, music, atmosphere, graphics, and story. Each category contains subcategories worth 5 points each. The highest total a game can receive is 100 out of 100. I will also give each game a difficulty rating from 1 to 10, which will not contribute to its score. Alright, so let's begin with gameplay. So the first one is controls. So older games notoriously have pretty simple control schemes, and Final Fantasy VII is no different. X interacts and gives commands, and C cancels. That was the control scheme, at least on Steam, on the keyboard. I don't know what it is on PlayStation. But there were a couple other buttons used at different points throughout the game, but the game always let you know, and it always gave you really good instructions. So the controls are definitely easy to learn for sure. I would give that a 5 out of 5. No problem there. Sense of direction. For the most part, this game lets you know where to go next. If you just paid attention and you followed the main story, you're not going to get lost. However, there were a couple of moments where the game just completely leaves you out in space. It doesn't tell you anything. The one that really comes to mind is when you have to find the keystone for I think it's the Temple of the Ancients. And the game just goes like, yeah, you need to go find this stone. Go, be free, search this whole map. And it gives you no clues. Unless you got lucky and talked to some random guy in a random shack somewhere, you're gonna have no idea where to go. Plus, random encounters are all over the place, so exploring the world was a pain anyway. So I do need to dock a point for that nonsense, because that was ridiculous. 4 out of 5. Ease of travel. 2 words. Random encounters. Travel is hard at the beginning of this game. You run into monsters everywhere you go, and it's absolutely crazy how much time you spend in random fights. I had one video where I had an hour of footage, and all I did when I edited was cut out all the random encounters, and it cut my video down to half an hour. So half of my time spent playing in that segment of the game was spent in random fights. Now, I do understand why the fights exist. I know why they're there. You have to level up to keep up with the bosses, all that sort of stuff. But that doesn't make me like the fights anymore. But anyway, travel gets a lot easier once you get the high wind and once you get the submarine. So it's much, much faster, and you won't run into enemies everywhere you go. But I do have to dock a couple of points, because the ease of travel is really not all that easy. So 3 out of 5 on that one. The leveling system is pretty basic, really. It's your standard RPG XP based system. You kill the monster, you get the points. Yeah. And I actually thoroughly appreciate I didn't have to go XP grind to beat the game. I hate when games make you do that, because XP grinding sucks. Some of the fights are hard if you stay at a lower level, but the game is doable. I beat it without XP grinding a single time. So 5 out of 5 on that leveling system. The game levels very well with you. Okay, menu navigation. So my problem here isn't so much the menus themselves. It's the descriptions, or should I say lack thereof. Allow me to elaborate on this. The materia is in desperate need of a better explanation. Materia is pretty much necessary to beat the game, and it's never fully explained to you. I beat this game all the way through, and I still have no clue what some of the materia does or how it works. So, like, for example, gravity materia equips gravity magic. I have no idea what that means. I have no clue. Plus, I didn't even know you could pair materia until like 2 videos before the end of the game. It saved my life when I finally figured it out, because then I could regenerate everybody, I could heal everybody, but it took me almost the entire game to figure it out. And then you're also given some items, and you're not given a description of what they do. I have items sitting in my inventory, I have absolutely no idea what they do. So, the menu descriptions were my biggest problem here. So, unfortunately, menus get a 2 out of 5. So let's see. 19 out of 25 for gameplay. Still pretty good. Let's move on to characters. Development. Character development in this game is very, very well done. You see growth in every single character that you interact with, from everybody in your party, even to every villain. Like, I could go through literally every single character, but then we'd be here forever, and nobody wants to do that. So I'm just going to mention a couple highlights here. I loved Cait Sith's development. Like, right as I started to like him and incorporate him into the party, he turned out to be a spy for the Shinra, which actually ended up being to our advantage by the end, which is super, super cool. And I loved that he was even willing to sacrifice his first body to get the black materia. Like, that was just so cool of him to do. And I also want to point out Hojo. I loved Hojo's changes too. I liked watching how he just, like, slowly descended into the crazy mad scientist by the end. And, I don't know, everybody had really, really good moments like that. So this is easily a 5 out of 5. Backstory. The backstories are so good. So entire segments of this game were spent exploring the past of each of the different characters you run into, and every single backstory adds to current events, to what's going on in the game right now. Nothing explained was ever extraneous. The extra info, the backstory about Tifa, completely necessary to understanding Cloud. Barrett helped us understand Dio. Red's story led us to Bugenhagen, who helped us out later in the game. I mean, again, I could keep going. Everybody in this game had a great backstory. I loved the whole made-up past of Cloud, too. That was really, really cool. Like, for a while, I didn't know what was true and what was false. And I loved how Sephiroth played on it. It was just such a cool addition to the story. So, so good. Again, 5 out of 5 on that one. Relationships. The friendships and relationships of all characters, again, in this game, it is spot on. I felt a connection to every single character by the end of this game. Good or bad, I felt a connection to every character. And I especially could feel the friendship within the main party. And I could feel the hate towards Sephiroth, and the enmity toward the Shinra. Like, every relationship and every connection was just real and dynamic. Let's see. The most heartbreaking one, though, for me was that budding love with Eris. You know, I went on the date with her at the Gold Saucer, and then she died, like, an episode or two later. Like, that relationship was so heartbreaking. But no character was really unneeded in this story, except maybe for Vincent, but he's a completely optional character anyway, so I don't think he really counts. 5 out of 5 on relationships. So well done. Contribution to the story. I think I touched on this a little bit when I talked about backstory, but again, every character played a role here. Even the small characters like Rude and Reeves ended up playing a role in the story, even if it was later on. I can't think of a single named character in this game that doesn't have a contribution to the main story. They're all so good. 5 out of 5. So for characters, we got a perfect 20 out of 20, and I am not surprised, because the characters are flawless in this game. Replay value. So this is the first time I played this game, and I'm not sure I would ever sit down and play it for fun. It's pretty heavy, but would I play it again? Yeah, sure I would. I know there's a lot of things that I missed. I know for sure I missed a party character. I have no clue where to pick them up, but there's a lot of things I missed. I know there's some side quests and things I didn't get done, so I would love to revisit this game and explore it. But because of its heaviness, I definitely wouldn't play it casually. So I'll give it a 4 out of 5 simply for that reason. Let's talk about music for a minute. Memorability. I really, really enjoyed the music throughout this game. There were some incredible pieces. The battle music is a classic. It really is. And the victory music when you finish a battle, also a classic. Sephiroth's theme was awesome. His final boss theme was fantastic. Eris' theme also popped a couple of times. I recognized it. I have absolutely nothing bad to say about the music in this game. It's great. Contribution... Oh, I'm sorry. So a 5 out of 5 for memorability. I almost skipped over that. Contribution to the atmosphere. The music absolutely helped create the atmosphere of this game. The battles were more intense because of the music and themes. The boss battle themes were spot on. The world music made me feel like I was on an adventure. So this game's just great in every aspect. 5 out of 5 on that one as well. So music gets a perfect 10 out of 10. That's our second perfect score so far. Since we're talking about atmosphere, let's move on to that one. So emotion and feeling. Did this game make me feel things? Let me play this clip for you, and I think that's going to answer the question.
Jesse, stop! Oh my gosh. What are you making me do? He's trying to make me kill her. Gosh, I'm legitimately crying. Eris, no. This can't be real.
I felt heartbreak. I felt joy. I felt betrayal. I felt friendship. I felt everything at some point during this game. It is an emotional roller coaster, and it's an absolutely incredible experience. If I could give this a 10 out of 5, I would. But that's kind of cheating, so it's a 5 out of 5. Absolutely 100% a 5 out of 5. Immersion. I was absolutely immersed in this game, at least most of the time. All of the feelings, the attachment to the characters, it just made this game immersive all around. There were a couple of times that the game did come to a standstill, and that kind of sucks because it's a great game, and I hate when games just stop. When I had to find the keystone, that was a huge wall, and there were a couple of boss fights that were just hard, and I hit a wall during those moments, and nothing kills a game faster for me than running into something that's super challenging or getting lost all of a sudden. So I do have to dock a point just because there were a couple of times where the immersion was broken a little bit. So I will give it a 4 out of 5. So atmosphere got a 9 out of 10. That's awesome! Graphics time. Let's talk about the style. Okay, so this style of graphics has not aged very well. I'm sure back in the day when this were made, these were like cutting edge graphics, but by today's standards, they're very much subpar. And I'm actually super happy it's getting a remake. Because those cinematic cutscenes are going to look phenomenal when it's all remade. Some of those cutscenes though, even though the graphics are really outdated, they still look really cool. I loved the cinematics. They were super cool. Plus, I really liked how Barrett made fun of Cloud's spiky hair. It's almost like they were making fun of their own graphics, even when they made it. But unfortunately, it has not aged very well. So it's only a 2 out of 5, and I'm giving it a couple points because of the hair thing and because of the cinematics. Immersion. With the age of the graphics, I do have to say, I wasn't super immersed visually some of the time, but there were definitely moments I was. But again, that's mostly like in the cutscenes and in the boss fights. Despite the outdated graphics, the cinematics were still wonderful moments to experience. I do have to say this too, though. There were some enemies that had such long animations leading up to their attacks, I actually got a little bit bored. And it did break the immersion for me. Look at you, Sephiroth, with your 10-minute long supernova attack. Gosh, hated that attack. Took way too long. Like, show me the video once, and then don't show it to me again. I don't need to watch it every time he attacks me. So that's a 3 out of 5. So graphics, suffering a little bit with a 5 out of 10. Now, most important part of any game for me, is the story. So let's first talk about pacing. The pacing was excellent. Mwah! The ups and downs of this game emotionally and gameplay-wise were spaced out really, really well. Like, I would have an episode where I was super happy and excited and racing chocobos, and then the next episode, my heart was broken by something, or somebody was a spy, and it was just really good. And the big reveals were timed really well. I liked the timing of all the flashbacks and the storytelling, and just the main story in general was told at a very nice pace. It's a pretty complicated story, and those are really, really hard to tell well. But I was able to keep up with it for the most part. I did look up a synopsis at one point, because I got lost just a little bit with everything that was going on, but as far as pacing, very, very good. Especially the emotional pacing. 5 out of 5. Engagement. I was 100% engaged in this story. The characters, the timing, the story. I couldn't wait to sit down and play it again each week, and that is how you know you're playing a great game. 5 out of 5 on that one. Originality. I loved the triangular conflict, because you had Sephiroth, and then you had the Shinra, and then you had Avalanche, and they're all, like, butting heads and fighting each other. And usually in a game, you just have, like, the good guy and the bad guy. And this game takes it a step further. And there were times where I wasn't sure who was the bigger villain, Sephiroth or Shinra. And eventually, of course, it ends up being Sephiroth. But the Shinra definitely gave him a run for his money. So I love that this game actually goes a little deeper than just good versus bad. So I think as far as originality goes, it's a 5 out of 5. And the story kept me guessing, too, which was really nice. I thought one thing was going to happen and then something else happened. It was great. How the world and characters change. Well, the world definitely changes. When you start out in Midgar, and that's all you have, and then as you progress, the world gets bigger and bigger and bigger, which is really, really cool. And, like, entire towns get destroyed in this game, which is a cool world change. I like seeing that. I mean, I don't like seeing towns destroyed, but I do like world changes like that. It's very good. And then once Meteor starts, everything changes. Every single character changes with it. Even all of the NPCs are reacting to that world change, which is awesome. And everyone becomes a lot more serious once Meteor starts coming as well. Before that, the game's a lot lighter, it has a little more humor. The game never loses its humor, but the feeling does change. The whole atmosphere changes. So it's definitely a 5 out of 5. So let's see here. Story, a perfect 20. And I am not surprised. So, the total score for this game is an 87 out of 100. This is actually the highest score that I've given. I think Second Sight got an 86. So this one got a point higher. Let me see. Looking at other reviews, most other critics are giving it like in the 90s. Like 95s and 96s, so I'm actually a little bit low. I'm kind of surprised, really. I was expecting this one to hit at least a 90. But looking back at these scores, the random encounters and the failing to adequately describe the materia is really what killed the score for the most part. That and the graphics. Because everything else is almost perfect. Like, if the materia had been more thoroughly explained, it would have hit a 90. So I think the age of this game got to it just a little bit. But it scored perfectly in all the big areas, like story, characters. If I could have given it a 10 out of 5 for feeling and emotion, it would be a 92, by the way. So I think secretly, in my heart, this game has a 92 out of 100. Let's see, as far as a difficulty rating goes, I think I'd give it a 7 out of 10. There were some parts that were very, very hard. Sephiroth took me 3 days to beat. Just for reference. But for the most part, the game was just a fun challenge. I didn't run into a ton of challenges that really stopped me from progressing. But the game was a fun challenge and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So, overall, overwhelmingly positive experience. Very, very good game. If you have not played this yet, definitely give it a go. It is absolutely worth it. So that's all I have for this game review. I hope you enjoyed my thoughts and feelings about Final Fantasy VII. I'm going to be... So now that I finished Final Fantasy VII, I have to pick another game to start, and I'm pretty sure I know what I'm going to do. So I'm going to drop some hints, and hopefully somebody can figure out what it is. So if you'd like to see more, make sure you follow my Facebook page. I post regularly. I also stream. I also have a Twitch and a YouTube, so make sure you check those out as well. And until I see you next time, happy childhooding.